Welcome to the Late Night Show for this week. I'm your presenter, PACMAN, right here on BMTV Zambia channel 114. It's really exciting. It was the Youth Week just recently. We celebrated Youth Day, celebrating the youth of our lovely country, Zambia. And it's quite interesting to see the number of youth artists wanting to participate in this year's elections. We have heard Henry BJ Piri, who we had on the show recently, he's thrown his hat and he says he wants to stand Lusaka Central. He wants to compete as one of the candidates, Lusaka Central Member of Parliament. We also know that Professor Difficulty, the Comboni ambassador, also has thrown his hat. He will be competing in Munali, and also I think, which other artist? Makitu, MK Makitu Ichipondo Bagamba is standing also in Nchanga. It's going to be a really nice session. Let's just imagine if all three of them win and their parliament is going to be. Last year, okay, this session we had some nice highlights from the politicians. We had Iwe, Urumkurusana Iwe. So now, what's going to happen? Let's see all of them win. It's going to be order, honorable member of parliament for Lusaka Central. Parliament debate budget. Order. Let's have honorable member of parliament for Munali. Apa maje ndiye kuti tipite kupeza kuti JVX anatenga kaka kweza corruption maje ndikufunaona kuti order. Let's have the member of parliament for Chingola. Vakambara mushwa yali palolo muzindangwa big man vakamba yali palasa. It's going to be something. Anyway, it's great to see our artists taking up, this challenge, this going for it. Hey, I wish all of you luck, my guys. What do we have this week? This was one interesting week, if you ask me. Number one, in Chingola. Manhoods, the main engines of the male anatomy, were disappearing. Guys were claiming that someone was actually, using, I don't know what you can call that technology. There's financial technology, fintech, there's information technology, IT. Maybe we can call this witch tech. I don't know. But anyway, there's some African technology which these guys were claiming was actually relieving them of their manhoods. This guy was stealing their manhoods. The unfortunate thing is guys they took the law into their hands, and, very unfortunately, this guy even kicked, even did a Van Damme kick on the person they were accusing of stealing their manhoods. Yes, that's, I don't know. I don't know. I think some time back, you remember we had actually discussed this. Does this really exist? But anyway, we can't take the law into our hands. If someone has stolen your manhood, whether they've used supernatural means or, I don't know, they've taken a banga and chop, there's the law. The law is going to, You can't take the law in your hands and kick that that man like that, an innocent, sweet-looking man. You kick him like that. I'd like to urge all the law enforcement agencies, please. Yeah, I'm happy actually. That gentleman, the one who actually, kicked the man, is actually in custody right now. Assault charges have been filed against him, and also spreading false information. So yeah, because when they actually took them to the station, the goods were there. You can be saying such things as your goods have been stolen. No, they're intact. Anyway, on a serious note, but I think we need, as a society, let's revisit this. How many innocent people in the villages especially have been killed? Especially old people have been accused of being a witch, and they've been killed. Not slapped, not given enconyo, but actually killed. Mob justice has been unleashed on this. Some of them are innocent. I don't know, but we as citizens don't have the right to take the law into our hands. You can't dish out justice. There's a system. You understand? So I think we need to have a look at this critically as a country. That innocent man was kicked, embarrassed, demeaned, all sorts of things. People, you can even hear in the video, people are saying, but I mean, we don't know. When they checked, all those guys had their equipment intact. So I think let's be cautious about just accusing people anyhow. And then also, how can you accuse someone and say, no, this guy has stolen my manhood, but when we check, the manhood is there? So I don't know, something is not adding up. Anyway, on a brighter note, Zambia is now a 24-hour business country. It means businesses are open for 24 hours. It will be cutting. Just like to urge the government, though, to, we have a problem with junkies, all these guys, those criminals, those shady characters who think, oh, now this is jackpot. It's our chance now. We'll be bouncing on those people who will be going out about, doing their business for 24 hours. So perhaps we can urge the government to fully utilize the Zambia National Service. Deploy the Zambia Army in the streets. As a matter of fact, looking at the number of youths who are not doing anything in the compound, this is even a chance to get them all into ZNS so that they can be patrolling our streets. In fact, truthfully speaking, actually, I would like to appeal to President Hakainde Hichilema. ZNS, not a voluntary one. I personally am calling upon you, sir. We want that compulsory ZNS to come back. It has to come back. Please, look at the state of our youths today. They are so indisciplined. They're just focused on alcohol and all these. So let's bring order. And ZNS is the best conduit, the best vehicle to transfer files of order into our youths. If all of them, especially those who are not doing anything, if you're not doing anything, just get them on those vehicles, get them on those tracks, send them to the ZNS camps. Let them patrol our streets as we become a 24-hour business. So I'm calling upon our president, calling upon the government. Please let us make sure that we get as many youths as possible into ZNS and deploy ZNS onto our streets. On another sad note, Africa, we saw CAF, what has happened. What's this? I think really, I think for real, Jesus Christ is coming back, because we've now witnessed things that I don't even know, So Senegal has been stripped of the African Cup and it's been given to Morocco. I don't know. I don't even know if it's been given to Morocco or whatever, but anyway, they've stripped Senegal off the Africa Cup. Yeah, it's never happened before. It's just really crazy. How? And why did they wait all this time? Honestly, does it even make sense? How? I mean, what's this? Hey, when? This is, I don't know, man. I don't really understand. I don't get it. It's quite annoying. I'm not really a big football fan, but I love African football. I mean, I'm a patriotic African, and this hurts. It does hurt that, you've stripped Senegal, one of our greatest footballing nations, in Africa. They've stripped them of the Africa Cup. Anyway, we'll be right back, and when we get back, we'll be with our first guest. It's the Late Night Show.
BMTV. But 21 hours before the PACMAN might on the Late Night Show. Now PACMAN will be back with
Welcome back to the Late Night Show, and of course, today we have a very special guest in the studio. Grace Rumsey, man. How are you doing, Grace?
Hello.
Hey, Grace, you are looking awesome, man.
Thank you.
Tell me something, Grace. Are you a vampire or what? I mean, come on, like 10 years ago, you were looking exactly like this.
Fountain of youth. We're always drinking from the fountain of youth. What can I say?
I know me. I always refer to you as Mwaka ni Mwaka from Viva, man.
It never gets old. Never gets old.
Mwaka, welcome onto the Late Night Show. Welcome
Thank you.
to BMTV.
Congratulations on the show.
Thank you so much. It's really great to have you on the show.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited.
Great. So let's get right into it. I mean, take us back. We want to know everything. Where were you born? How was your upbringing? Which schools did you attend growing up? The early years. Take us right back.
Guys, all the way back there.
All the way back there. Yes, we want people, your viewers, your fans. I mean, you've been off for a bit. By the way, you know that we're showing Manyalo on BMTV?
Yes, I know. Yeah. It was kind of a surprise. I was taken aback when I saw it. And I was just like, oh, it's showing.
It is. Only on BMTV.
Okay. So I was born in the Copperbelt.
Okay.
In Luansha at Thompson Hospital. And I think I moved to Lusaka when I was about 4 years old to live with my dad. And I grew up with my dad's family. The schools I went to, I've been to a couple of schools. I went to, at first I was at Namnunga. Then I'm not too sure when I left Namnunga. And then I went to Chadley. And this was still like early primary, lower primary. And then from Chadley, I went to South Africa. In South Africa, I was at St. Martin's. And that was until I finished, I think it was now upper primary when I came back to Zambia. I moved back to Zambia. I think at the time, my dad was more focused on staying in Zambia. So I moved back home. And I went to Nkwazi from there, Nkwazi Primary School. From Nkwazi Primary School, there was fun memories at that school. And I was an athlete, by the way. I was into netball. I thought I was actually going to be an athlete for some reason, because from the time I was in South Africa, I used to run against the females. I was always number one. I was even in the school book of records.
Wow.
Yes, 100 meters sprint, 200 meters, 400 meters, 800. And the only guy, I think at some point, none of the females could beat me. So they started making me compete with the boys. And there was only one boy that could beat me.
Amazing.
And then when I came back, I carried on with track at Nkwazi. Then I also got into netball, and netball was the captain, and I was the captain of the athletics team. That was at Nkwazi. Then secondary school, I went to Kasisi Girls. Yes, boarding life. It was horrible. I did not like it. It was terrible. From the I was only there for about 2 years though. And then from there, my dad moved back to I was in South Africa again. So I moved back to South Africa. And that's how I finished my education in South Africa. And that was where the dream started from in pursuing arts. So even from primary, I remember when I was at St. Martin's, the first play I ever did was The Jungle Book. And I was the hyena in the Jungle Book. But the focus and dedication to just deliver on the cackling of the hyena was very, very focused. I just loved being on stage, and every time it was my turn and I would giggle and I was all over the floor. I could already see that there was a keen interest in stage and just being in front of an audience and just playing roles. I loved it so much. Even though I think I also did contemporary dancing, ballet. I was like all over the place when it came to the arts. Then secondary is when my speech and drama, there was a play that we did, which was competing at the National Arts Festival in South Africa. And my speech and drama teacher, Mrs. McQueen, the play, the character that I had in the play, the theme was around the history of the school, but again attached to apartheid. So it's like the school started with apartheid and then the transition to where we at now, and all the change that has happened in South Africa with unity and lack of no more racism and
the Rainbow Nation.
Yes. And it was in that play when my speech and drama teacher asked me, and she's like, Grace, what are you doing when you graduate? And by that time, I think the decision had already been made. Funny enough, I always knew that I wanted to be in entertainment. That was something that I already knew. But the thing was, I think it was Selena, when I watched Selena, the movie with Jennifer Lopez, that was when I fell in love with saying I would love to do acting. That was the passion for acting. However, because I was a dancer growing up, I always, dance was my number one. When I got to high school, I told, my dad was really not for the arts. He was really against it. But in some way to support me, I was like, no. So I was thinking, in order for me to do dance at that time, I'm like, dance is not really a career that you can pursue. So you need to package it with something. So I'm like, maybe music. So I started doing vocal lessons, but more vocal lessons to help with theater for voice projection. And also for singing. So I started vocal training, but I was never confident enough to sing in front of an audience. And that's the one thing with me is when I feel the talent is not rich in that area, or I haven't honed that craft well enough, I shy away from it. So every opportunity that was there for me to sing, I just wouldn't sing. So I'm just like, is this really what I want to do? But then every time I would perform, I'm just like, so when Mrs. McQueen told me that, and I said, well, I'm considering music. And then she was like, acting.
That's you.
She says, baby girl, and I remember her words, baby girl, if you pursue acting, you will go so far, and I'll be very disappointed if you don't.
No. And she was right. You've done so well. I mean, I think as a core actor, in the field, I think you're one of the best actresses that we have in this country.
I'm so humbled coming from you. I was so nervous when we were doing Fever, by the way. I was like, Pakeni. I cannot believe I am acting with thee, Pakeni. I was so nervous. But yeah, you're such a natural.
Oh, wow.
You're a natural.
I'm humbled too. Yeah. So what was your first production? So now you entered the arena. What was your very, very first production?
When I came back, at the time I was trying to get into the film space, but there was really nothing. And I didn't have enough people around me that knew anything about the industry. And I think you guys had already done the one that was already, that Fred had, the Media 365 had already done One Love Kwasila. That was the only one that I heard of. So I decided to start following Media 365. And so, because those are the early days of Facebook.
Yes.
So I decided to start following them. And an opportunity came for a feature that they wanted to do. And this was for Ministry of Justice.
Yes. My country.
Yes. You had known that. Yes. And that was my first opportunity. And blessed enough, I have never been an extra because I got the supporting role in my country. And it's been supporting role my entire career this far.
Oh, wow.
Yes.
Very soon, I know. It's going to be starring.
I'm waiting for lead.
Is the film industry financially rewarding for female actors? Or is it actors, but I mean, we're going to zoom in like on the female actors, female artists. Is the industry
ready?
Rewarding?
Well, okay, so the industry is like broken off into two spaces, right? Television has kicked off in Zambia and is on a halt right now, as you know what's happening with multi-choice, right? So we were at a point where it was sustainable, but again, I wouldn't say it's stable. And the reason is because the fact that we only had one distributor, which was multi-choice. It limits accessibility because only multi-choice can only take on so many projects, and how many are getting an opportunity on those projects. So those that had the opportunities of working had managed to at least get some sustainable reward from acting. But to say that it's sustainable, no, not yet. We're still quite far.
Yeah. And also, I'm very, very impressed with what you're doing, Grace. I know you're doing some fantastic works with, female, women
in the film industry.
Yeah. I would like to hear more about that. Yeah, okay. Please, can you tell us more?
I'll need to do a little backstory to that. So, having the same question you asked in terms of being able to have a sustainable career in Zambia as an actor. I transitioned into producing because of that, because of the limitations as actors, right? Acting opportunities. And while doing that, and got a halt with Zambezi in terms of projects, was after I was one of the producers for Zuva.
Oh, yes.
So after that, there was a halt in my career and things were really, really bad for me. And having a child and learning of my child's diagnosis of being autism, it was a very bad space to be in. And then I'm like, what do I do now? Do I still want to pursue this career, or am I going to go back to a 9-to-5? So I'm like, no, I still want to keep pushing. And this is where my focus completely changed to the international market. So I started doing a lot of research and trying to package myself globally now. What do I need to do? To start finding what actors are doing, started following specific actors and who they are following, who they are tagging in terms of learning about agents, managers, and all of that. So I had, there was a program for a group that I was part of, African producers. And the owner of that platform, they were doing an interview across Africa for actors. And I got to sit in there and we had a whole conversation. So based off the conversation we had, he took a keen interest in me and he's like, why is it that we don't know of you? You've done so much work in Zambia. Why don't we know you? So that's when we had a conversation after that. And from there, he's like, send me your work. And that's how I sent him my work. And there I got an opportunity to audition for Malawian. There was a Malawian producer who's based in America. He's Malawian American. And he came because they were friends. So he saw my video and took a keen interest in auditioning me for a film that he was doing.
Wow.
And I auditioned for it. And then in 2022, was it in 2022? Yes, 2022, I went to Malawi to shoot the movie. Then came 2023. They were now promoting the movie in America. So that's how I got an opportunity to go to the US to do screenings for the film, to promote the movie. So while we were there promoting the movie, obviously my keen interest is agents. How do I get an agent? How do I do this? But that time there was a halt in the US because of the writers' strike.
I remember.
Strike.
Yeah.
So there was nothing going on. And then I'm like, and the main industry, like where all that was happening, was in California. And I didn't go to California. I was in LA. I was in Atlanta. Yes. So from there, I started seeing the keen interest, and I'm like, there needs to be more visibility for Zambia. And this is where my interest in distribution now came in. Like, we need opportunities where Zambians can get their films here. And I met a guy who interviewed me. He had been to Zambia. He's into theater. He has a platform, or his company is A Taste of Theater. And in Chicago, they have a festival as well that they run. So when he met a lady that had interviewed me, and they exchanged contacts, and he learned that, I was in Zambia earlier in the year. He says, we actually have an actor who's here. That's how I got to have an interview with him on his show. So he has a radio show in Chicago. So that's how I was on that platform, and we had a great conversation. And he was like, we need to further this conversation about investing in Zambia for getting more films out. So we've furthered, and we've now developed a friendship. So when I went to Chicago, we now strengthened the conversation and stuff for distribution now. So when I came back, Jesse and when I came back, then I got to Botswana. Then in Botswana, this was the inauguration of the International Film Festival. So they got Nigerian stakeholders to come in. I don't know if you know of Film One. Film One is like the biggest local cinema distribution platform in Nigeria. They've got like cinema halls across the country. Yes. So the lady, I think she's her head of marketing, came to the festival. Then there was film commissions, people in the different film commissions from South Africa. So there's this whole conversation around, why are we not as Zambian positioned ourselves? Then starting to learn about the challenges that we are having with our film commission, and why is Zambia not positioned for a film commission? So these are things I started to take a keen interest in. And I'm like, as much as we want to push and go international, there's a lot of work that we need to do on the ground.
Exactly.
And then there was an opportunity where we had a panel discussion as women, and one of the girls who was part of the MTF Multi-Choice Talent Factory graduates started with her friend. They started Women Film Guild Botswana. And this is where the interest came in. Then I'm like, Women Film Guild Botswana. Then she started talking about the international networks that she's gotten. I was like, I want to do something like this for Zambia. I think this is actually brilliant. So when I came back, it was now finding like-minded individuals to birth this. Hence, Jesse and I just took a moment for us to have a conversation. And we shared comment. I didn't know at this point Jesse was also like now wanting to formalize, because at this point Jesse was already promoting women on social media. Like all of us, she kept promoting the work that we are doing and stuff. So we had a conversation, and I told her, I said, we need to focus on women in film and television specifically, because that is where my passion and my heart is. How can we invest in women? How do we grow? So based off the challenges that I've seen in our industry when it comes to key example here, behind the camera, how many women do you see behind the camera?
None.
Yes, everyone is either acting. Some are now, at least it's getting common for seeing more women producing and directing, but it's still a few.
Yes.
Because even with the training that we started, selecting for this year was a challenge because how many female producers can we get? How many female directors can we get? So the intent, the birth of this came from, let's fill up the gaps in our industry with women. And how do we do this? This creates visibility, capacity building, empowering, as well as giving them opportunity to access to funding. So platforms that we are familiar with, where we know if there's a writer who has a great script, an opportunity to further that script, we share the information to say there's this opportunity. If you have a documentary that you're working on for funding, apply. So we have a WhatsApp group of over 130 women in the WhatsApp group, both like from across Zambia. So we even got a number from Chingola, I think Kitwe and Ndola, a few from Kitwe and Ndola. We even promoted one of the ladies, her name is Salome. She did a film. And I think she's from Chingola. So we've been promoting. The intent is to show women visibility and put their work out there. So at least that way it gains more confidence. And we now start to see where the younger generation is coming. They now start to see themselves in these roles. They can now see female editors. They can see female cinematographers. It's now something that they can actually envision themselves doing, as opposed to just acting and that's all they see women doing. Or makeup and wardrobe. It shouldn't end there.
Stereotype roles.
Yes, we don't want that. We want to build more leaders.
That's great. You said she's from the other writer is from Chingola?
The producer?
Producer.
Yeah, I think I'm not sure if she
wrote to write
a
a story and produce a story about the disappearing manhoods that were, last week people were. Anyway, that's some great stuff that you're doing, for the women folk. I mean, it's not just in film, it's across, many other industries. I think women, we've always, let's be honest, us guys, the men, we've segregated.
We've dominated the industry. Yes, we now need to create more room for us. Yeah.
How are women treated in the Zambian film industry, like in your opinion? Are there, let's hear, I mean, this is an open forum. Want to hear about, sexual abuse,
sexual
harassment, producers asking for sexual favors.
Yeah.
We're hearing even in the political arena,
it's happening.
For you to be adopted, I think you gotta open your legs or something. I think it's disgusting. It's not fair. I mean, why can't you just ask a chick out if you like her or whatever? Or, why did you have to, if you want to be in this movie, then you're gonna, what do you think about that nonsense?
I think the problem there is society for the longest time has okayed a lot of things for men, especially when you look back when you look into marriage itself and how women, if there's any physical abuse, a woman is told to stay. A woman is told to just endure. That in itself already just shows the mindset that society has towards women. And because of that, we women, I don't think there's anything wrong with a woman owning her sexuality. There's nothing wrong with that. No. But it shouldn't be a thing where now a man should want to take advantage of it. And in our industry, it is there. It is there. I'm blessed enough to have never gotten like a sexual offer, but I have in the corporate sector. After doing Zuba, when I was now trying to get, there was a show that I wanted to do with a writer, Tozia, and I was trying to find, and I said, who can produce it? And I was trying to find investors. And I went to one, and I don't want to say, because it will be very obvious to who it is.
Of course.
I went to one entity.
But obviously after off camera,
I'll tell you.
Yeah.
I went to one entity and I really wanted to pitch because we're like, we need sponsorship, but I was looking at it from a point of what is it? Corporate social responsibility.
Yes. CSR.
Yes. So we pitched the show. It sort of had the similar layers of Love Games. The only difference is it focused from the woman's perspective. All of were women.
Were women.
And the stories were told from women's perspective. Yes. So when I went there, I was there thinking, pitching, and this is going to, and the first day was like very positive. No, let's further the meeting. What's the budget like? Can you work on the budget? And this is definitely something that we could fund for our social corporate responsibility. Oh, great. Next meeting. The next meeting now changed. The location for where we were supposed to meet changed. I went, but this time it was a little different. Now it was, thank you for coming, and someone's hand is on my thigh. And immediately there, I just said, this is it. This is not, I'm not going to get this, because I already know I'm going to turn this person down. And the minute I did that,
that was it.
It was. And I tried to play it in a way where it wasn't, I didn't want to make the situation awkward. And I brushed off the individual in a very polite way, that's saying, like, this is not something I can do. Like, I just want to keep this professional.
Yeah.
I mean, however, as colleagues, as friends, we can build a friendship maybe, but nothing beyond that to try and see is because I wanted the deal.
Of course.
But it didn't work.
Yeah.
I mean, after that, I got bored. Called. I think I called like 3-4 times, and that's how the calls stopped coming. Yeah. And there've been more cases where on sets where it's, on set, because we spend so much time together, especially when you're shooting like telenovelas, and you have this tendency where we get very comfortable and we sort of bridge the
lines.
Yes, we blur the lines of professionalism and then overstepping our boundaries, where it's a thing where you like tap somebody on the butt and you think it's okay, or a little squeeze here on the side of the boob and you think it's fine, and it's not.
It's
not okay.
Not at all.
And even if one person okays it, doesn't mean every person is going to okay it.
No.
But yeah, and then you also spoke about, when you spoke about money and us getting lower. From my experience and from what I know, I don't think women have been disadvantaged in Zambia when it comes to paying on sets, especially with the channel. I don't think productions have paid women less. But I do know in commercial space, they do that. And that's now because they are working with outside
talent.
No, not outside talent. It's more like the company is not from Zambia. So they have a system in where they do things. So every time you find that the lead of that commercial is a male, the chance of him, they always the margin is always higher. And then when and this is a conversation I had with a friend who's big in the commercial space, and he says, Grace, this happens all the time for women. When I would pitch a woman's picture, when it comes to budgets and we give the same budget as the male, they'll say, why is she getting so much? Which shouldn't be happening.
Not at all.
My talent, how you invest time in your talent should not differ because we have a different set of genitals.
Exactly. Yeah.
No.
Let's talk about Zambian film.
Yes.
Why do you think we've been struggling? Why do you think Zambian films have been struggling, especially outside Zambia? We really haven't. I know we've won some awards here and there, some recognition, but do you think we're really having that impact out there? Are we succeeding? If not, why aren't we doing it?
From my analysis is we are too focused on money and not focused on building. And building requires you specializing. And when you specialize and take a keen interest in understanding the fundamentals of filmmaking, the fundamentals of the business, and that's another key component. We use the word producer in Zambia very loosely.
Loosely, yes.
As long as you've made a film, one time you're a producer, but you've not distributed it. You've just ended at the cinema.
Yeah.
No, you've just ended at the cinema. That's the only distribution you've done. And you've called yourself a producer. So where I learned this is every time someone wanted to cast me, the first conversation we would have is, okay, so you want me in your film? Yeah, now Grace, we don't have money, the budget. We know you are expensive. And, okay, let's have a conversation. what's your plan for distribution? Because you're not going to pay me enough. I don't know the value of this production. First of all, we've never worked together and I don't know your work. So I do not know the value of this production and where it's going to go. So if I'm going to work on this project for less than my rate, what am I getting out of it?
Yeah.
There has to be something that I'm getting out of it. What's your plan for distribution? And there's no producer would answer that question.
Yeah.
No, so we are going to try, we want Netflix. Zambia already there's a problem because I understand that Netflix the international market goes through agencies and aggregators. So which aggregator are you talking to and are you working with for you to say, and that always starts at inception. Distribution starts from the beginning because once you lock down a place to distribute your film, that's when you can now push in for money. Because now you can go to corporates and say, my film is going on this platform. I've managed to secure a deal. It's going to be shown here, 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 here. This is how I'm going to make. So you already have projections of possibly you could still make a loss, but possibly we're going to look at this bracket. Yes.
Yeah.
So now when you, at least now there shows an interest with corporate sector. Now with corporate sector not seen as seriously, it just ends there. Everyone wants to know how is the money coming back? You have producers screen the film. After screening the film, you invite government officials to your screening. You've just finished screening your film at the cinema. It's now supposed to go, it's only theatrical release. And again, it's just that one day. It hasn't even done a theatrical run. You are now going to the ministry. I need money for my next project. You as the producer now, you're already on the next project. 2 or 3 films in. So that already for me shows that the business matrix of film, we don't get it. We are very passionate about film. We are creative. I can't fault us on that. And that's why I'm so passionate saying we need to get Zambian projects out there. But we need to learn the business
side. Wow. This is the epitome of beauty and brains winner. Excellent. Let's talk. You did mention about your son previously. You said that he's autistic.
Yeah.
Obviously, I assume that's how come you came up with the Elisha.
Voice of Elisha Autism Foundation.
So please tell us more about that.
Okay. So Voice of Elisha Autism Foundation was birthed after I saw the need to use my platform to educate the masses on autism based off the stigmatization that I face with my son on a daily basis when I go into malls, the challenges in the health sector, the challenges in the education sector. And now I'm just constantly researching and reading because my son is nonverbal. So trying to find what interventions do I need to put in place? Where can I access those opportunities? And then I learned that we don't have trained professional speech therapists in the country. I think we only have like 2 or 3. Now maybe I think 4 or 5 max. Spread out maybe. I think there's one in Mukushi. And then I think 3, but again, how much are you paying? So there's one lady that does in McKinney $50. $50 a session.
It's like 1,000 kwacha a session.
I'm like, how is that sustainable?
No, it's not.
But I saw the need and the gap because when I started voicing out that I have an autistic child, using my platform to now advocate and just speak on it. And then my friends in the media space started calling me for interviews saying, can you talk about autism? And I remember one particular one that I did with Chichi Daisy, and it was on parenthood. And then when I spoke, she started getting so many messages. Can I please have Grace's? Does she know where I can go? Everyone, like people just contact me all the time. Do you know where I can go for an assessment? Do you know where I can take my child for school? What schools are there? There was one parent too that called me from the Copper Belt. Where can I think? Do you know of any places? And that's when I learned that we only have Lusaka, UTH, where you can get a diagnosis for autism. In the Copperbelt, there's nothing.
There's nothing.
Then I learned that Lusaka is the only one that has a neurologist. We only have 2 neurologists, pediatric neurologists in the country, and now only 1 because the other one fell ill. So that to me was just like, this is insane. How? And I'm just thinking of that one because it was, and what I did, I said, okay, I really want to do this foundation, but what's the angle? Because even right now, I'm also in the process of putting together, I want to do a documentary. So I'm just putting like all bits for content, like everything. I'm constantly recording my son. We had a trip in 2023 when I just came back from the US. Before going to Botswana, I took my son to India for a stem cell. From India, came back, and then went to Botswana for that thing, came back, and my son was on medication at that time. That trip was intense for us, but I recorded the whole thing as I wanted to be part of my documentary. So doing a lot of advocacy work, I've been seeing the gaps within the autism community and everyone who's focused, what they are all focused on. And I'm like, I want to champion in a different area. And as someone who's in the public eye, I can always use, because I understand the power of visuals.
Yes.
So that's when the first thing was the documentary. I know the power of visuals. And everyone is bringing statistics. We don't even have the prevalence of autism in our country. So that is where the birth of Voice of Elisha Autism Foundation came from.
That's awesome. So if someone has got a child who's autistic, what advice would you give? Where can they go for help currently with such limited resources?
So UTH, so there are some places you can, but it depends also on your financial bracket. There's Mulenga Autism Foundation that does assessments as well. I know they've started doing, I don't know if they're still doing it. I had taken my son, then there was a point they had stopped, but they've opened, I think now they're in Chudley, opposite Chudley House School. Then the main place you can get, but what the government recognizes for autism assessments is UTH.
UTH.
Yes.
Okay.
And this I learned for sure was at the 2024 in November, we had the first Autism National Conference. And that's where they shared that Lusaka is the only place you can get a diagnosis from.
As we wrap up, Grace, thank you so much for gracing the late night.
Thank you.
What projects? Are you working on any projects? I mean, you have been a bit off screen. You've been a bit quiet.
Because now I want money. So I want the business. That's what I'm focused on.
Right.
Yes, but also because right now, like I was saying, my focus has been to help my son more.
Okay.
Sorry. But I recently did a feature.
Okay.
It should be coming out, I think, mid this year. We just wrapped production, I think, like a week ago. Yeah.
Awesome. So when are we seeing that? When do we expect it?
Definitely this year, but I'm not sure when. I can't even give, because we literally just wrapped. But it's definitely this year.
This year.
Yes. So that's the one project that I'm doing. The others, just look out for, I'm probably going to come out doing more producing work and focusing on Zambia women in film, because we have actually next week we are doing our second cohort of 24 women that will be training.
Okay.
So we're going to invite you to come and see the films, because in September at the Zambia Short Film Festival, that's when we'll be screening the films.
The films. No, definitely
women.
We'll be there as BMTV. We will definitely cover that event.
Great.
That was our guest for today, and none other than one of Zambia's prolific actresses, Grace Rumsey. To me, she will always be mwaka ni mwaka, man. Awesome. All right, that was our guest, Grace Rumsey. We gotta go for a break, and when we come back, of course, our second guest for today, we've got Kenny Dumbo. But I had an accident. I'll be very honest with you, my dear viewers. I had an accident. I haven't drunk my hibiscus tea for a long time. Now, now vatikirago pa shirt up. So let me just go and change my shirt quickly, and when we get back, Kenny Dumbo is in the studio. It's the Late Night Show, and today we have a very special guest. Our guest today is none other than Kenny Dumbo. Ken Dumbo, ati bwanje mnyamata.
Ata wakuru, muzi wati muchitika papakata.
Thanks, Mwandi.
Nimaikonka bad. Nimaikonka bad. Timapunzira, chekaisa chiri background, chipunzira kuli wachikulire mu industry.
Wow.
You're doing amazing works.
I'm humbled.
Sure, and I find it a blessing to be here.
Oh, wow. Ken Dumbo, to be very honest, I'm a big fan of yours. I'm telling you.
I'm so grateful.
I've been following your stuff. You know, Ken Dumbo, you guys umavikamba chemu. Ameni suma fakakota hapa nizafaka po soti.
Sifaka ko sugar, sifaka ko soti.
No, but you
sifaka ko sauce.
Ukafaka ko sauce. Excellent. No, Ken Dumbo, welcome to BMTV. Welcome to the Late Night Show. We're so happy to have you on the show, and that's why we said, no, let's have him. My fans go jaba very. Let the viewers know who Ken Dumbo is. So let's get straight into it, bro. Tell us more about your upbringing and your background. Ken Dumbo ndani.
Wow, my upbringing is like a long story, but I'll try and cut it short. So, I was born in Kafue.
Okay.
Yeah, just within Lusaka. Though a lot of people think Kafue is not in Lusaka, but I'm here to confirm that Kafue is in Lusaka. So I was born in a compound called Solomon Compound. Those that have lived in Kafue know it as Nigeria. The reason why they call it Nigeria, because that time, penekwenze tuma movies, toma Nigerians wene karishika, mfwiti. There were a lot of cases of witchcraft in my hood.
Wow.
So people nicknamed it Nigeria. Because the moment they hear anyone saying Nwakusorobon, yeah, so that's where I grew up from. I grew up from a very humble family. Yeah, very Christian background. My father and my mother, very strong Christians. Yeah, so bringing kanga kalikona Christian background. I went to Kasenje Primary School, obviously. Before then, Tenze Patitandizane. Paolo Fair. Yes. So it was like a community preschool. Then went to Nawe Secondary School, Kasenje Primary School. Then went to Nawe Secondary School, where I completed my grade 12. In my academic life, I was privileged to at least be in leadership positions. So from grade 1 to grade 7, I was class monitor.
Oh.
So grade 9, I became senior prefect. Passed to grade 10. In grade 11, I became prefect. Grade 12, I became vice head boy.
Oh.
And then also in that year, I was also debate president for my school. We did quite a number of things. So in my upbringing also, I worked with organizations like Child Fund as one of the youths in the community. So we were introduced to a lot of advocacy works in our communities. So in the you go and meet these ministers, talk about issues that are affecting you as young people, as children in the communities. And when you present them to the parliamentarians, laws. So yeah, basically that's it about my upbringing.
Oh, wow. That's so. Now we can clearly see where your political commentary. You've got a very strong foundation. Universal. I mean,
yeah,
you've been doing it from the time you were a child.
Yeah, it started from the time I was a child, because the organization that I earlier on mentioned, Child Fund, introduced us to, meeting our civic leaders at a very young age. And we were taught that when you're going through problems in the communities, these are the people that you need to present them to. So what made me actually take this route is because at a very young age, I was taught one of the ways you can actually address these issues is through the media.
The media, yeah.
So as a young person, we were asked, what do you want to be when you grow up? And I was like, I want to be a journalist. So now, wankalako journalist, but then industry at time, so I decided, okay, let me do something that I'll openly do with one heart and be proud of my works. And that's how tinapeza kulitima kama pali political content, governance content, civic issues, and a lot of other
things.
Yeah.
So obviously, growing up, you were hoping that you would be a journalist. I remember I wanted to be a pilot.
Oh yeah.
Though I loved acting from the time I was a young boy, I was a small boy. I really loved acting. telling jokes and things like that. But my passion was flying.
No, for me, it was journalism. From grade 6. Even my parents will tell you at some point I sat in the house after watching Chanza Sikas were reading the news. I got a newspaper and stood in front of them and read. And I was telling them, one day, Zaka. So I've had passion about being a journalist, and I'm glad I'm one today.
Nah, you are.
Sure.
So, but now, your name. I know that you are Emmanuel. That's your real name. Ken Dumbo. You must be the slimmest Dumbo on earth. So, and what are your full names? What's your surname? Emmanuel who?
So, my full name is Emmanuel Ndea Kazungo.
Emmanuel Ndea Kazungo.
Yes, Emmanuel Ndea Kazungo. So, what I did is, I got the Kazungo and put it first. Then put the Emmanuel pakati and then the last. So yankala Kazungo, Emmanuel Ndea. Then when you get the first letters of those 3 names, you have a K, you have an E, and then you have N. Then you have Ken. Yeah, that's how the Ken name came about. The Dumbo, I think in kesi ya wasika na wena ngupeza kuti zina yake ni Beauty, but mkati muyangane pamfeshi Beauty ine balive. Yeah, but on a serious note though. Yeah. No, but I mean, haven't you heard of people whose name is innocent?
But
bali mumakoti every day ni criminal wepa. Muntu zina ni blessing, but magoro badanda ola day. Yeah, but anyway, so the Dumbo name for me came up when I was in college at Evelyn Horn College doing my journalism and public relations. So I was doing radio on Horn FM. So I was doing it with a friend of mine called Cass. He's doing radio with Hot FM now, Cass the Greatest. So we came up with an initiative where we'd meet street kids every Sundays, have some meals with them, play some games with them. So one day, coincidentally, we made some groups. So coincidentally, I was given a group of kids who were chubby, Benzema's Dumbo.
Wow.
So I was very tiny at that time. So the other groups started laughing at my group. Ni group ya Dumbo. So now my friends started teasing me. But the leader wabo no yonda. So now they started teasing me. Dumbo yonda. So I looked at it. I was like, okay, but kagwira futi.
Mani
tena Dumbo yonda. And then at that time on radio, I used to use the name DJ Ken Star. And in the comedy industry, there was a guy called K-Star. So people used to think K-Star and Ken Star is one and the same person. So I said, but K-Star mu industry tinawapeza chizaoneka bwino kuti tioneke munga timenyanira na zina. So I removed the star and added the Dumbo, and that's how I became Ken Dumbo. Yeah.
And to be honest, it's a brilliant branding actually. You've branded yourself in a very good way.
I'm so grateful.
Ukamvaje Ken Dumbo aziona zo
Kulibe winango.
Tizama manje. Tizamuona mnyama tazabwe. Manje ingani. First nikambeko. No, it's very, very nice.
No, I'm so grateful.
How did you go into hosting events though? How do you find yourself? I mean, obviously we can see kutia manzia kupeleka kwa mene, but how did you finally now start, hosting events as an MC?
It's an interesting story because through the same organization that I was talking about earlier, I found myself as a kid. Activity in community. Now at that time, I really didn't take it serious because it was just for fun. You just love the exposure, being in front of the people. Until in grade 12, one of my teachers, my mathematics teacher, the young brother was having a wedding. Then she comes to me and say, Emmanuel, I've seen you host some events. I have a young brother who is having a wedding, so I want you to be the MC. I was like, madam, nilichemu grade 12, nikaribu kwatira hapo, nikaribu chapo na wedding MC. Nizambira party kucha wedding MC. Then she was like, no, I think I've seen you host functions before. Only that I haven't seen you do a wedding, but I believe that you can actually host.
Do it.
And also it's because we don't know who else we can approach. So like, okay. No problem. Tizaye selera, but nikafuaula msakandandaulile because I've never done this. So lucky enough, during the weekend before that event, I was invited for a wedding at Sambalungu. And the MC at that wedding was Bikilon. So I went there whilst the others were there for the rice, the chickens, the
were in
drinks.
class.
I was in class just observing how things were done. And then after that week, the event was there. Hello, lucky enough,
man.
So that's how I handled the event. And people were very impressed. Nchoka check wedding, nfika mukomboni nivera che bantu bakamba kukamba tamvera kuti wamenyesa. The following week there was a wedding in our church. They needed an MC. Rumor came to the church njira. Mfano kwa nachako ka event kuone kanaka controller bwino. And that's how I was approached by the couple that was getting married, and I did it. Before I realized, another couple from another church was having but then the funny part was, at that time, for me, it was not even about the money. I just loved the fact that these opportunities were coming to me. So if you ask me, the first event, I was only given about 180 kwacha. That was in 2011.
15 years ago.
15 years ago. And for me, the money was not the thing. Until when I completed my college and I was trying to look for a job. Then it was hard to get a job. Not that opportunities were not there. Opportunities were there. But the money was not very encouraging.
Not very encouraging.
Imagine what your family kwa kutivia vibazi watu kasiza school. Nishiwamba kuchitika. But then, yeah, of course, alive. And that's how I was like, okay. I remembered that at some point when I was doing my attachments at ZMBC TV, my supervisor, Mr. Hebet Mtavi, DJ Dazo.
DJ Dazo. Yes. Let's bang it.
Yeah. One of the days he received a call, somebody was asking him about being an MC at a wedding. And I'm sorry, I've never shared this story with him, but I remember he told the client that he charges 7,000. That was in 2016.
2016.
Now, 7,000 was a lot of money for me. And then when the client said, no, we don't have that 7,000, we only have a 3.5. He said, that's what I use for my fuel. And I'm like, boss, you're 3.5 in a jackpot. But I didn't say it to him right then. Until after I completed school, now I realized that, okay, previously, I used to host functions. I was not getting much. But when I remembered the conversation of Mr. Mitawi in the office, people were offering him about 3.5, and he said that is too little for me. For me, that 2,500 or the 3,500 would be so much if I had it, or if I was invited for a function to host at 3.5. So that's how I said, okay, let me find a way of penetrating the industry, because at that time, when the chensomba zikuru industry, the chiwekatewes, the bobun koshas, the bikilon and difficulties. So just for you to earn a name in the industry as an MC, you needed to at least be known for something. So that's how I created the Ken Dumbo comedy page, started creating content. And God was very great to me, because that same year, I started receiving calls in 2018. 2019, I even received my first award as the best wedding MC.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that's how my MC journey started.
Excellent. Now, let's get into something very serious. We understand you don't drink, you don't smoke.
No, I drink water.
You drink water. Alcohol, uchwala. We have a big problem, actually, of alcohol abuse in Zambia, whether we like it or not. We've seen a lot of people, even adults, even gray-haired dinosaurs like ourselves, turning into junkies. You know, some because of pressure, some because of just habits and things like that. So how have you managed to sort of stay away? You know, this industry has got so much pressure, but how have you managed to maintain, being sober and staying away from these dangerous vices?
I think my first inspiration are my parents.
Okay.
Because growing up in a Christian home, I have never seen my parents, my mother and my father, taking a sip
of alcohol.
So the way they raised us, and also the church background, also, ndinewa SDA and muzi wacheko SDA. But I think growing up as children, we're always told alcohol is not good for your health, and there are lessons that we are taken through. And aside that, the organization that I worked with, the same child fund organization, helped us also growing up as young people, because those are issues that we talk about in our communities. Because every time you have community engagements with the kids, they will tell you, no, ine kunyumba nimakangwa kuberenga because baili pafupi or badadi wa mama over. And there are children that would not feel safe being around their parents who drink, because some of them could actually get abused, violence, and others would experience some violence. So with that information and that background, I've grown up to know that alcohol is not good for my health. And also if I became a drunkard, my behavior would just change. And I've seen these in our communities where muzapeza che muntu ngatali sober ni all loving husband, all loving father, but the moment they drink, they start beating their wives, they start beating their children. And some of them muzada wachati ngati ali sober lichebu akamwa futi patupi bazionongera. So I've not seen anything good in alcohol growing up, and maybe that's what has helped me just deassociate myself with from alcohol. Yeah.
No, you're doing a great job. And you're known for political and social commentary. That's your strength. And to be very honest, that's me always that's way. But you ninga can do Dumbo if it's still running. Because you always, you have some really sobering, I must say, some really sobering analysis of what's really going on. You don't
No, I'm grateful.
So, are we seeing Honorable Ken Dumbo sometime in the future? Do you have any thoughts of joining politics?
Those questions have been coming. I try to run away from them, but I still find myself receiving them. And even right now, as I speak, I've received people that have said, "Mtu angatipemba, okay." Imirira kocha. So I don't necessarily talk about politics or social issues because I want to stand, but I think I've grown up feeling like there are certain things that need to be talked about, not because someone is in a political position, but because the powers that be need to know that, okay, people are not happy about certain things or people appreciate certain things. So that's why I do that kind of that kind of content, but also because I'm a journalist. And I think in journalism, we have different interests. There are journalists that are interested in sports content. There are others that are interested in agricultural content. Maybe I'm just that journalist that is interested in political content. But to answer the question of whether or not I have intentions to get into the political arena at some point, I would not say no. I think I have, but only time will tell.
Time will tell.
Sure.
For real. Have you faced any backlash from any politicians, any leaders who've come to you say, Vanu Maremba, Vanu Makamba pa social media? Have you ever, has someone ever come and threatened you? Have you ever had any breathing phone calls? It
happens a lot. It happens a lot.
Hey, it does?
Yeah, it does.
Hey.
It happens a lot because no one wants to be talked about in a negative way, especially for our politicians. They always want to be praised. They want to be looked at as the mafumu. So when there's something about them that is negative or that people have not appreciated and you talk about them, sometimes it may not be from them directly, but the people that support them will just call you, why ukamba paliba boss, that kind of thing. But there's nothing to worry if you know that whatever you have said is in good faith and you have not accused anyone of any wrongdoing. You're just expressing your thoughts and opinions on what they have done. Yeah.
But though I've noticed Pakati Apa, you've sort of been like on and off, like radio, TV. What's been going on? I mean, for a while, what led to that sort of a gap from the media? Are you planning? Are you working on a comeback? Should we be looking forward to something like Ken Dumbo Reloaded or what?
So I haven't been on radio or TV for at least a year now. Not because I don't want to. I'm still very passionate about radio, especially because and even when I got on radio as a radio presenter, for me it was a dream come true. But with time, I've also realized that most media institutions, most radio stations and TV stations work with their own policies. And sometimes you find that as a journalist or as a presenter, you are limited in your creativity because there are certain things that you feel like, I think I'll do my best if I do it this way. But your bosses will just come and say, this not here. You can't do this here. Maybe because the organization is pro-government or the organization is anti-government. So it limits your creativity. And that's why I've opted to just concentrate on doing my thing. So for me, when you see me do that video and I'm like, Daddy, but for me, I find total satisfaction because I'm completely expressing myself in the way I want to express myself. Not a situation where I'm talking about it on someone's radio station or TV station and they're like, you're going to put us in problems. I would rather face the problems myself and then know how to deal with them. So that's why maybe I'm still active in my own line of work, but not just on other people's platforms.
Wow.
So.
You were once linked to a Malawian comedian.
Shout out Nyauyo.
Was that a real relationship? Because I can see there's a wedding band there, or it was just a social media stunt. Where now? Was that Chela? What was going on when?
People don't want to believe this because a lot of people had invested so many emotions in that scandal or story. But whether you believed in it or not, here is the truth. There was no relationship whatsoever.
There was no relationship.
There was no relationship. My friend in Malawi and myself just wanted to find a way we can work together and put numbers from both countries. Of course, she wanted to have an audience from Zambia. I also wanted to have an audience from Malawi. And we thought, what could be the best way to do this? And so we created that relationship, which was very unreal. Yeah, it's important also for people to note that I had not spoken to Nyauyo, or Felicitas as she is known, until the time she came to Zambia. So whatever we were doing during that time, we were making videos of us calling each other and stuff. It had never happened like me. I've gotten my phone and talked to her. In fact, I never had her contact until she came here. Yeah. Whatever content we were doing was done through my manager then. So my manager would just tell me, okay, so she has created this content, now create something like this in response to this. And that's how that thing happened. So to those that were injured, I'm really sorry, but there was no relationship.
There was no relationship. You've heard.
Yeah.
So tell us, you're saying that you're trying to pull, your numbers. So obviously to have an impact on on social media.
Yeah.
Are social media influencers well paid in this country?
That's a very interesting question. It depends on who your clients are. Yeah. If we're going to talk about the monetization issue, that is a whole different case. We are not paid. Yeah, in terms of the content, in terms of the content that we put out there, a few people get money because maybe their accounts are registered outside Zambia. But in terms of the content that I create, from the likes, comments, shares, and views that you people give us as content creators or influencers, we don't get anything. How we earn money though is through brand ambassadorship deals or influencers deals. So if I sign a deal with BMTV, so we want you to be putting some content for us on a Facebook page, for example, how much is that going to cost? So nine ends up with for how long do you want us to be doing this? And how much in terms of content do you want me to be doing in a month? And then we agree. So you find that depending on who your client is, Yeah, some people get good deals. Some clients will pay a 50 pin for a month. Others will pay a 30 pin for a month, which you will not get when you are trying to look for employment anywhere else.
No, I mean, that's a big thing.
Yeah.
And I mean, talking about this earning through social media, you are one of the, influencers who promotes betting. You've got a betting promo code.
Yes.
Some people are calling for a ban, complete ban on betting in Zambia. How has that affected you? Has that affected you in any way when people are saying, no, we should ban this, we should, but how has that affected you, your earning, especially with your betting promo code?
No, maybe it will affect us if that comes to pass.
To pass.
Yeah, as things stand, I know people have all the negative things to say about betting, but can we also talk about banning alcohol? Yeah, can we also talk about banning cigarettes? Because there are people that are addicted to smoking and it affects them.
No, but
negatively.
on the cigarette pack, it actually says, not that it can kill, it kills.
It kills. And people still go and buy. And we haven't heard anyone standing up to say, no, let's ban cigarettes.
No,
let's ban alcohol.
That's true.
Some people have built through betting. Some people have driven through betting. Some people have invested in other businesses through betting. Show me how many have built through smoking. How many have built through drinking alcohol? The people that you give the money to buy that alcohol are the ones that benefit. So I know it's a very controversial issue because people say, no, it's addicted. The effects are very negative on society. But there are so many things that are so negative, but it also depends on you as an individual. What decisions are you making? When on the cigarette pack they say smoking is harmful, when it comes to betting they tell you bet responsibly. So it is you to be responsible. Betting itself will not tell you don't put a ticket on me. Even though on drama and seven say near rent, why when we betting it? In drama, ufuni kolipira school fees, why when we betting it? So for me, it's more about us as individuals and not the platform itself. The platform will be there. If I decide not to bet, it will still be there and I will not lose anything. So calling for a ban is unfair for people that are earning through betting. That's my opinion, at least.
Oh, wow. Kenny Dumbo is our guest this week, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. And as usual, we are going to give away a hamper.
Okay.
Compliments of Trade Kings, Dairy Gold, and Big Tree. But this week's giveaway actually is for a very dedicated viewer called Chansa Chanda, who has been watching this show from the day we started. He's never ever missed. He's always sending comments. So we want to say thank you so much to you, Chansa Chanda Mkwaya Muvemba Mambara Wagantu. This is yours, bro. We're gonna send it through to you. Share with us your contact details. Go to the Late Night Show page on the BMTV Facebook page, BMTV Zambia channel 114. Oh, our YouTube channel, BMTV Zambia 114. You can catch BMTV Zambia on the Top Star Bouquet. Kendumbo wena.
That's so good.
I
was almost asking that. So kushabaya botamba yaba host clip. Ndio atikulisa tisakambe na boza babomu mulongo aziko Dar es Salaam mwatikulisa mwandini
na kafyu maona Trade Kings.
I mean pakuti tioneke kuterera so it's because of my product album. So yes, I'm not ashamed to give them eka ichongedwe.
So I hope you were paying attention to what Ken Dumbo was saying, what he was telling us. I'm going to ask you a question. If you answer that question correctly, you will be in line to win yourself one of these lovely buckets. What are Ken Dumbo's real names? Mazina yake Ken Dumbo Nindani. I'll give you a hint. His first name is Emmanuel. Manje. What's the surname? Answer that as usual on the comment section, Late Night Show page, BMTV Zambia Facebook and the YouTube channel.